and shine, Eagles. Happy daylight savings. This is the Talon Weekly, and I'm your host, Miles Isaacson. Let's take a look at upcoming events. In sports, tomorrow, boys and girls tennis have matches against Volcano Vista at 3:30. On Friday and Saturday, CalGuard has a competition, and Metro baseball and softball tournaments are from Tuesday to Saturday. Outside of sports, Tuesday, drama is hosting a night of improvisation at 6:30, and on Wednesday, keep in mind that we have the spring assembly. Here's a sports update from last week's game.
Good morning, Eagles. Here are the scores from last week. On Tuesday, varsity basketball won 13-3 against Valley High School and won against Cibola on Thursday by a score of 6-5. On Wednesday, varsity softball won against Mira 11-6 and lost on Friday to Valley High by a score of 5-3. Good job, Eagles.
Thanks, Joaquin. For more than 20 years, El Dorado's literary magazine has been a way for students to get their artwork and writing published. Here's a look at this year's upcoming issue, Transcend.
I'm here to talk about the El Dorado Transcend Literary Magazine. And it's basically you can submit artwork, writing, poetry into a literary magazine where it can be published.
Okay, and then how does one get their stuff published, like into it?
There's two ways. So the main one that we encourage students to do it is basically by submitting into the Transcend 2022 Gmail, and that's where they can submit their artwork, poetry, writing, and if there's any problems through that email, we recommend asking questions or sending your submissions to Miss Robinson's email, missjohns_aps.edu. I might be wrong on that, but.
And so is there any like awards or anything, or is it basically just to get your artwork out there?
Just to get yourself out there, kind of expressing yourself. You can submit with your name on it. You can submit anonymously. And it's pretty fun.
How often is this like magazine released?
It's actually just once a year, and used to be physically, where we would get physical copies, but ever since the pandemic, we just been putting them on a website, and basically we're thinking about bringing back the physical copies, but that's if we get enough demand for them.
And how many submissions are there usually in like each magazine?
So usually for submissions, for writing, there's about a 2-page minimum. For artwork, you can submit up to 5 pieces only. And then for poetry, I don't think there's any limits on poetry.
And then do you put every submission into it?
Well, what we do is we look at what submissions there is, and we pick which ones get in and which ones do not.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thanks, Audrey. Recently, a teacher here at El Dorado had a medical emergency. Here's a little bit about what to do in case you ever find yourself in a situation like that.
We used to be allocated where we had 2 nurses, and then it went down to a nurse and a half, and then it went down to just me.
Okay.
So yes, I'm the only nurse, so I guess by default, I'm an RN. What you want to do first is just call 911, because time is everything. With a medical emergency, time is always everything. When there is an emergency and you're going to call 911, don't use your cell phones. Use the teacher's phone, because that then alerts upstairs that there's an emergency. It also, they would have called down here and said, hey, this person called 911, it looks like from this phone, so we could have gotten there probably faster than the student having to run down here, and then, or they could have called me. 35017, and then we also have Jennifer's number, which is 35048. Case-by-case basis, because sometimes a student can have a seizure for the first time, and if it's just a seizure and they have a history of seizures, of known seizures, then they're not going to go to the hospital for that. If it's a new onset seizure, we're going to send them to the hospital for that.
Finally, let's round out this broadcast with the weather from our meteorologist, Sophia Hale.
Hi, welcome back to Thunder and Hail. I'm your host, Sophia Hale. Let's go look at this week's weather.
Thunder and Hail with
This week is probably the most bipolar weather we've had so far. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we're going to be looking at a high in the 70s with a low in the 30s, almost kind of 40s. But as we kind of go further into the week, it's going to cool down a lot more. Thursday and Friday, we're going to be dropping down about a harsh 15 degrees. We're going to be getting down into late to mid 50s, and our lows will be back in the 20s and 30s. Enjoy Tuesday though. It's going to be 73 degrees with mostly sunny skies. Other than that, that's pretty much all for this week.
Thanks, Sophia. Well, Eagles, that's about it for this week. If you want to reach out to us, we're on Instagram and Twitter at Eldorado Talon, where you can submit any suggestions or story ideas there. Thanks, Eagles, and we'll see you next week.